Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm going to take a look at a couple different assets and more so the bearish narrative. So, we've been talking about the ABC and off the bull market support band, it looking good, but there's always that big risk of a major sell off. And I'm going to, I gave a bunch of points to the bulls. Now I'm going to give some points to the bears. And it's not for me to decide, it's for you to decide that for yourself. This is XRP flipped upside down, right? So this is the price that looks, if I invert it, right, that's the price right side up. This is the price upside down. And the price upside down actually looks bullish, which means it looks bearish, right? If you look at it from the way I'm about to present. So, we have this move to the upside, right? We have this move to the upside. And now we're kind of flagging out in here, right? We're kind of flagging out in here. So it appears like it wants to break down. It appears like it wants to, break out and come back to the downside. You can start to see like inverse head and shoulders. There's your shoulder, your head, your shoulder here, right? Let me clear up a little bit off the screen. We have a break of the downward resistance line. We don't have one yet from here, but we are kind of stuck in between. So, we had a pretty big bottom here, right? Remember, this is upside down. So we have a bottom, we come up, right? We're coming up. We have established a higher low and basically making a double bottom. So you come up, double bottom, right? So bottom, double bottom, and then we break out below, right? Or I should say above the bull market support band. And now we're kind of flagging out in here. So, we broke out, we back tested the bull market support band. Are we getting ready to just die? Or I should say dump, right? So when I flip it back upside, right side up, that's what it looks like. So we have to be ready for that if that happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but this is not financial advice. But, when you try to look at things in a different light, we got definitely have some points for the bears. So it's still yet to be the case. We're basically, in no man's land, right, for XRP. And I'm using XRP as the example. If we look at, something like THETA, right, trying to look at the bearish case for THETA. If I flip it upside down, there's not too much bearishness to look at, except for the possibility of us coming down to back test this area down in here. So I would say between, $1 and $1.50, right? Well, I probably more so, probably $1.13 to $1.50. But if that occurred, there would be a nice 1-2, 1-2, right? We would have a 1-2, 1-2, and this looks like something like that. So 1-2, 1-2. That would be actually incredibly bullish, depending on how it reacts down here, right? Because remember, this was all resistance. We broke through the resistance. There's always the possibility for the price to come all the way back down and back test this resistance to make it the new support before continuing to rise. Now, all of this is circumstantial if Bitcoin, right, loses the bull market support band. So that's kind of the worry, right? We don't want it to lose. If we lose it, then we're looking at I mean, first of all, the weekly chart looks nice. It looks bullish, right? We had a nice pullback and orderly candles. We had this beautiful bullish hammer candle off the bull market support band. I don't like the current candle. Let's see if we can get some follow through over the weekend or even next week. If not, then we're probably going to come down and test lower areas. Remember, this is just trying to look at it objectively from the bearish perspective. So it's not like I'm changing my tune or anything. I'm just showing you, how it can be interpreted two different ways. I still think it looks nice for a continuation. I mean, if you look at the daily chart, the daily candle is about to end in less than 2 hours, and we have an engulfing daily candle. This candle is engulfing the previous red candle, which is important. That's what we want to see, right? So I think if the bearish case were to occur, it would happen in two different ways, or actually a couple. It can happen either by this being an A, B, and a C. We come up here, we break the top, we grab some liquidity, and then we just tank it down, right? And when you zoom out, it would look something like that. And we would most likely come in between 52 and 47K. I think that's like the magic area, right? Between 52 and 46, 47K. So that's kind of how it would look, right? We would have this basically a failed inverse head and shoulders look, right? Where we break out, right? We get to the retracement, and that's basically what I'm looking for, right? Because we have our top, right, our point A, and our bottom, our point B. So if we get in the middle of the retracements, what happens? Do we get strongly rejected? Do we bullishly consolidate, right? So we're more so at the bottom of the range. Let's see. I mean, I don't even think we're at the 382 yet. Yeah, we're just below the 382. We did hit a 50%, and we did pull back, but it looks like it has the potential for another wave to the upside, right? So that's kind of, if the bears take control, that's kind of how you would look at it. Now, it would appear, right, if we break out, it looks bullish, right? But remember, you got to get through the 618 and all of this. This is the true test, right? I would say the number one test is testing the bull market support band, and then also getting through the retracements. So that's basically two different areas where Bitcoin needs to succeed. If not, then we continue to drop. If we did continue to drop, then what that would mean, right, is just a bigger, longer correction. And we talked about that as well, because if you look at the daily chart, for example, you can see right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look how long that sideways correction was, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, huge, long sideways correction. So same thing here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we get a super long sideways correction? We maybe, right? It's possible, and we've talked about this before. If I put the bars pattern on here, just to kind of get a visual. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. I'm not saying this is what it's going to look like. I'm just saying from a time perspective, right? We might be, if the bears take control, we might be in a lackluster type of environment, at least for the summer, right? So, we're in May. Maybe we get a pump, right, before the summer, and then the summer hits July, and then we go August, and we're just, going sideways. And then once we get past September, right, specifically October through December, right, more so after Halloween, that's typically, the season of giving, right? People are more spendy, right? People spend more money during the holidays, especially on crypto, as it seems from a seasonal perspective. So if I zoom out, that's kind of what it would look like, right? Something to this effect, where it would kind of constitute as a, some type of inverse head and shoulders. So that's sort of the idea from that perspective. Now, we can either correct hard through time or through price, or a mixture of both. So if this whole thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we come up 1, 2, 3, and then we come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That, my friends, would just turn into a zigzag, right? Basically a move down, move up, move back down. Basically a more complex ABC. The reason why I'm not really talking about it as much as the bullish idea is because we're not there yet. It's not for me to say, right? I've said we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I just want to focus on getting back in these retracement levels. So that's the other way it would look, right? We basically have an A, B, C, something like that. So when you zoom out, we come down and we back test the top of wave 3, just like how this back tested the wave 3, right? So we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So this is the top of wave 3, right? I'll drag it across here. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then A actually came all the way down to test the top of wave 3, right? Because it was a more of a sideways correction. It was also an A, B, C, but it was in the form of a base, right? Sideways. So there's two different types of corrections. It could be something like this, or it could be something like this. I think this would be faster, but it also would be steeper. So it has yet to be the case. Now, back over here, we did lose the bull market support band before going back up. So this one we actually wicked off of it. So it seems a little better. So yeah, that's kind of the two different ways it could occur. The other way it can occur, I would say the final way it could occur, is instead of having something like this where we go sideways then go, or instead of having something like this, ABC then go, it would be more like we just continue to drizzle down, right? And we basically have like a crashing structure where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something like that. Where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So basically a long sort of descending channel. And it's not going to feel good. I think this would be the more torturous one, because it would probably be just long and grueling. But when you zoom out, look at it. It looks perfectly normal. It looks perfectly healthy. And it looks very bullish because you have a big flagpole down here, right? And then you have, obviously, the flag in here with a 5-wave structure, right? And then every single one of these basically backtest that 50K area. So we come down here, we backtest 50K, and maybe develop a little base down in here, then continue higher. So there's that's three different bearish ideas for you, right? Now, I'm not saying it's going to be bearish. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. All I'm saying is be prepared for anything to happen. Because, Bitcoin looks like it's telling a bullish story. But when you look at, let's look at total 3 here for a moment. We are kind of stuck down here. Now, it could be two different things. It could be bullish because we're creating a base on the bull market support band. That's exactly what you want. So if we, from this perspective, we have 1, 2, 3. We come up 1, 2, and we come up for 3. If we get rejected in here and come back down and lose this backtest area, then that is the first little indicator that we would probably come down and finish an ABC or a zigzag or a WXY, right? So we would come down here and backtest. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then probably 5. Which means, yeah, you can say, oh, it's bearish, but at the end of the day, it's all leading to bullish, right? Because when you zoom out, what do you have? Well, you have basically an A, B, and a C, right? Just more complex. We have an ABC now, but it's in one form. So if it gets more complex to be in a zigzag, then that's the deal, right? So the question is, what happens in wave B? It's all about wave B. What happens in wave B, right? If this is an ABC, right? If this is a 1, 2, then that's great, right? And again, I'm just showing the bearish possibilities, because it would be foolish just to have your mind set that there's no other alternative except bullish moves, right? So this channel, we want to be level-headed, conservative, but also fair to both sides of the aisle, right? But yeah, I think we're in a bullish environment, of course. But if everybody's playing into that bullish environment, you get too many longs leveraged in one position, and then you get another liquidation, right? So we don't want another liquidation. We want people to be skeptical. We want people to be unsure, right? And especially if we did this, if we came up, got everybody excited, and then crushed their dreams, it would appear like, oh, we have a bear market, right? It would be just a bloody disaster. And when we get down here, most of everybody's money is liquidated. Most people don't want to buy anymore. Most people are convinced the bear market is here. And that's where the market makers soak up their liquidity and take it to the moon, right? So that's why I always say just dollar cost average. Don't go all in right here, right? So remember, not financial advice, but if I'm playing this and I buy here, that's fine. But I'm not going to go all in here, because I would rather wait until we break out and back test, then continue higher. I'd probably buy there, right? Yeah, I would spend more money, but I would have more assurance that we're not going to go down here, right? Because if we get up here and then reverse, then all the money I spent here could have been divided down here as well. See what I mean? So it's nothing's ever a for sure thing, right? So we always have to stand on guard, especially in crypto, because there's so many, crypto is like the wild, wild west. It's full of schemes and tricks and deception. So, especially look where we are. If you put this down here, we're right in the middle of the retracement levels, right? We came close to the 618, but we lost the 50, and now we're hanging on to the 382. So even if we wanted to continue higher, which I believe will ultimately be the case, we still need to get past all of this up in here. So just take it with a grain of salt and know the risk and know the understanding of how I'm trying to present this. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. But yeah, so far, just looking at the current price, I mean, it looks bullish. Why? Because we had a three-way move. We had an A, we had a B, we had a C. We had a liquidation event. We had a test of the bull market support band. We have multiple candles, right, trading above the bull market support band. We had a bullish engulfing candle to the top of the range. And these candles are trading at the top of this candle instead of the bottom. We had one candle, but it wicked off brilliantly off the low. So, I mean, it looks good. And yeah, my son's in the background playing around. So if you hear a child in the background, that's because there is one. So that's kind of the way it's looking. I would expect a move higher, right? I want to see, for me to make my final judgment, right, we need to get somewhere between here, right? Somewhere up there. That would be a lot better, right, to have an examination. Because if I had to guess right now, I would assume we got, higher to go. Because even if this is going to go down, to me, it still needs to go somewhat of in a retracement, right? We had one, we had two, right? It appears we need three. So it'd be an A, B, C. So if it's going to be an A, B, C, like a zigzag, then it's going to be three, right? So we have A, B, C, that's one. A, B, C, that's two. And then A, B, C, that's three, right? And then we back test here. If we got down here, that would be an amazing buying opportunity. And then I would be very confident, right, depending what how it's reacting and the current market conditions, it would be pretty bullish, right, at least for a dollar cost average. A lot of people would be giving up and very, very, very uncertain. But that's the time to get greedy, right? So we'll see. We'll see how that plays. But yeah, I've had more of a bullish tune, but I did want to break the bearish tune as well, right? I mean, I do like the way this looks, where we came up and you see it's an engulfing candle and it's orderly going down. We have the wick, and it's kind of like we're essentially, flagging out here like this. So it's a pretty big flag, but on this time frame, let me zoom in a little bit to the look at the 4-hour chart. We are pumping, right? I mean, the video I put out this morning or earlier today, basically I was saying, hey, we need to get back up here, right? Because here's resistance. I would expect it to get to the resistance. Now, I would expect a little bit of a pullback here, depending what happens here, right? Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? We can keep dumping, right? Or do we have a little pullback and break out and get into the retracement levels before then deciding up or down? That's the thing. TA doesn't give you a linear line of assurance. It gives you multiple things to work with. So, but so far it looks good. We have three white, it's the bullish, three white soldiers, right? So that's a candlestick pattern of 3 green candles in a row that are all engulfing all of these candles. Because look how many candles it took to get down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. right? 9 and almost 10. So it took 10 candles to get to the low, but only 3 candles to get back to the previous swing high. What does that mean? Well, that means it's more bullish than anything, right? Because you can see this is bullish, right? This is bullish. And then this is more overlapping corrective, right? I mean, you do have some bullishness, bearish there and bearish there, but this right here, these candles are nice. They're bullish, right? And this is the small time frame. It doesn't really mean much, but the small time frame is the next move that leads into the bigger time frames, right? So if you haven't watched the video I put out yesterday, I highly recommend, because I go over a lot of the bullish reasons of how it's looking. But essentially, Bitcoin's job is to hold above the bull market support band. I mean, that's really what we want to see. If we had a big ABC, we would of course lose the bull market support band, right? So if we had 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we come up A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we come down and back test here, we would lose it, right? So if you go back in time, then that means, you know, that's sort of the conflicting thing, right? Because then Bitcoin's not really in a bull market. Because if you go back in time, we've always held the bull market support band. Look at the last rally. Look at this. We came up, we tested it, we held above it the whole way up, right? Same thing over here. I mean, this is even a better example. We had a bear market, we came up, we tested, hold it, test it, test it, test it, test it, test it. We never once broke below and closed below. So that's why I'm inclined to say this is the bullish option, not the bearish, because we're back at the all-time high, right? I mean, we broke above the all-time high. We're basically, you know, back testing or testing the waters up in here at this high level, right? And then also the longer it trades in this area, the more the volume profile increases, the more people get used to these prices. So it probably wouldn't be an ABC because we would lose the bull market support band. Now, this bull market support band was lost. You can see we lost it in here. So that's why I'm like, well, we can still have it, but maybe it's something more of, instead of a price drop to 50K, it's more of a sideways consolidation. I would honestly rather dump down to 50K and get it over with than do something like this, which would take a long time. Another reason why, if the bearish option is going to be the case, I would expect this one over the ABC, is because when you look at the cycle we're in now, from the bottom to the top, we have gone up from the bottom back to the all-time high faster than any other bull run in history, right? Look at here. From the bottom, here's the bottom, and then we broke to the top from here. So from here to here is a lot longer than from here to here. And then if you look even back over here, from the bottom all the way to the top, this from here to here is a lot longer. So if we're going ahead of schedule, then that means we got to kill some time, right? So potentially we kill some time in this range in here, where we get something like, you know, we come down here to the bull market support band. And this also allows us to hold above it, right? We come down here and then we come back up, right? And then we come back down and then we kind of base out and then continue higher. And what that would be, right, is my sort of the most significant thing, right, which is a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. And that's what I wanted to show you guys today, is a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. So if that's the case, then, you know, that's kind of what we can look for if the bearish case was going to come about. Now, if this turns into an ABC and we back test down in here, right, and then we go, that's also fine. But it would be a lot harder, I think, for sentiment to return because we lost the bull market support band. So it's kind of, we're basically, I hate to say it, but we're kind of stuck in this range and we have to kind of wait and see. So I provided every option, available thesis, right? And you guys know where I stand personally, but I have all the options on the table. So if it's the bearish case, I would think rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, go, right? We don't want to break this low because we would lose it. If we do break the low, then obviously it is what it is, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. Now, the bullish case is still on the table. And basically when I say bullish or bearish, they all lead to bullish. It's just the time it takes between now and the actual bullish move is dealing with, consolidation, more correcting, more boring price action. But, when I look at it from the daily chart, I mean, it doesn't look bad at all. It's, again, we're still following that fractal, right? Remember the fractal? Basically from here to here, right? And then the bull market support band. Same thing here, right? It's just a little bit smaller, but essentially, right, we're right about here and we hit the bull market support band. We came up. Now we want to see, price prove itself and break out. If we have a big breakout like this did, because you can see the triangle, right? We came down, we hit the bull market support band, we came up, we flagged out, we broke out. So same thing here. I mean, if we get, all it takes is one move and it really drastically changed things. We come in here, we came down, we hit the bull market support band, we came back up to this prior resistance, we're flagging out, and look, we have a bullish daily engulfing candle as we speak. So if this thing can break us out of here and we have a nice powerful move, right, then we can flag out and then be on our way. So I would like, if we got something like that, I wouldn't be inclined to even talk about the bearish idea. But as long as we're below this resistance in here, we gotta talk about it. But I encourage you to watch the previous video I put out today. It goes over a lot more information. Specifically, I mean, if you look at this, here's our support. We lost the support, right? We came back up and now we're holding it as support again. So that's actually a very good sign, because when you look back in the day, that actually we held it as resistance. You can see here's the line here. So we came up, you can see right there and right there, these 2 points. We couldn't break above it until after the fact, right? So the fact that we're already above these two areas, that's already a good sign. So, I mean, I'm trying my hardest to figure this out for us. I mean, we kind of have a breakout here too, right? If you look at this downward resistance line, we broke above it and we back tested it. So that looks pretty good, right? And then we also potentially have somewhat of a, let me put that, I guess you could say like a falling wedge, right? So I like the way that looks. I mean, that looks pretty good. Typically falling wedges, let me try to make it as good as I can. Yeah, I mean, it looks good. It broke out a little early, but so I mean, so far it looks pretty good. We broke out and we back tested it here, and we're holding support here, right? I mean, we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So at the very least, you want 1, 2, and 3. And then it can decide, we want to see a retracement. Once we get that retracement up here, then I would feel much better, like, okay, now it's basically time to step up to the plate, because this is where everything gets decided up here. If we start falling lower now, to me, it doesn't look like that's the structure. To me, it looks like we need to come up here and challenge at least 65 to 67K before coming down, right? So, I mean, it's up for debate. So, going back again to the altcoins, I mean, it kind of looks like that as well. If we do have 1, 2, 3, it looks like it needs 1, 2, and 3, right? So, let's get up here. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5, which boom, boom, and then we do something like that, I guess it's understandable, but it kind of wouldn't line up with what Bitcoin's doing. But yeah, I want to talk about the bearish case because, it is what it is. But for me, it looks more bullish than anything, right? So just know that I'm not flip-flopping on my position. I've always been, what I've been saying. But if the bearish thing were to occur, at least we have an understanding of what it would look like, how would we expect it. That way we're not caught off guard, right? So, I've always said, when we come down, we have an A, B, C, we hit the bull market support band. Now we're developing a base. This is exactly what you want, right? We have everything going for us. We have everything is there. All we need is for Bitcoin to show up and give us a bid, right? Because once we break this, it's going to look a lot better, right? So, when we're down in here consolidating above the bull market support band after an ABC, I mean, again, that's the most, you couldn't ask for anything more bullish than that. Especially you have a low, you have a liquidation, a low, and then you have a higher low. And they both tested it, right? And then you have this pump to the upside, and now you're kind of flagging out at the top of this green candle instead of the bottom, which is also nice to see. So you see what I mean? Everything, it looks nice and primed for bullish momentum. But just because it looks like $1 million doesn't mean it is $1 million. You know what I mean? So always be aware of that. And then lastly, I go back to XRP real quick. I mean, XRP honestly looks the worst. It looks very bad. And the reason why I'm sharing this video is because what if Bitcoin isn't telling the story? What if XRP is telling the story? I know XRP looks, it could be interpreted a couple different ways, right? And then we always say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have an A, right? You come up for B, and now you're going down for C. But if C isn't finished, then you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and you need one more wave down, 5, to finish out somewhere between 33 and 37 cents. And if that's the case, then I can kind of see that ABC in Bitcoin, right? So if we kind of, do something like this and then break out, right? And then I flip it upside down, does it look feasible? Does it look plausible? It does. Why? Well, because we had a liquidity grab. You can see this channel, right, is basically engineered liquidity, right? And we did break it to the downside. So maybe that's all we get, right? And I hope that's all we get, right? I mean, you can see the shoulder, the head, the shoulder. You can see the break above. You can see it currently back testing the top of the downward resistance line. Remember, this chart is upside down. But to challenge your bullish bias, we like to look at it invertedly so we can see it differently, right? So yeah, that's the way it would look. Now, we've talked about XRP many times. If this were to occur, basically, if that did happen, it would be the most bullish thing ever. Why? Because that would repeat what it did last time. So let me put the channel here, basically like that, right? And then I'm going to put this yellow right here. Boom. So let me actually put it a little bit closer. There we go. And then you can see right there, we broke below it. It was very fast, very quick, but we did it, right? So we're oscillating up the channel, bouncing off the yellow, right? Then we broke the channel, and we also broke the yellow. We grabbed the liquidity, and then we moonshot it to the upside. So take a mental screenshot of that, and let's see if we can see the same thing. So here is the exact same situation we're in now. I mean, look at this. And then also when I zoom out, it's at the reaccumulation phase, right? Because look at here. We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Same thing that's happening now, right? We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. So both of the sideways reaccumulation structures look very, very, very similar. So if we do break it below, then it would look very close. Now, if you look closely, we already did break it. So maybe that's all it needed, right? Maybe that's all it needed. So you can see this wick right here. So I'm wondering, maybe that was sufficient enough. And you can see, look at the price now. Look at what it did, right? It came all the way back to the upside. It came all the way back down, and now it's holding above the channel, right? And then it came down again, and now it's still holding above the channel. If we fall out of the channel again, then we're going to risk coming back down here. And if the more times we come down here, the more likely we can break it a little bit further, right? So that's a pretty massive drop with a pretty massive wick. So to close below this wick would take some serious selling pressure to get that fifth wave if this is an ABC. I hope it's in WXY, right? Where you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, right? So we have a 3, 3, 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, WXY, liquidity grab, break the channel, break the resistance, wick below it, grab the liquidity, and hopefully base out in here and run. Just like how it happened the last time. So you guys be the judge. Is that is that what we're in store for? We did break the channel right in here, and we had a pretty big drop, but then we came back up, right, and we held above for a little bit, but then we continued to dump down, right? We continued to dump down. So is that what's going to happen again? I mean, we had multiple candles below this rising channel, but we only had a couple of them below the yellow support box, right? But basically, long story short, the whole point of it is, it's shaping up looking awful lot like what happened back in the day. So if that's the case, then man, we are in for some pretty nice price action to the upside. Now, if Bitcoin, loses the bull market support band or has a steep ABC like we talked about, then we could get something, like this, where essentially, this area here is basically this area there, right? So if we match it up with the fractal, something like that. And then the low here would be about that 40-cent line. This line here is basically like I call it a scam wick. It's a data bug. It's not really there. So, because if you look at the other exchanges, this big wick didn't occur. It was only these little ones here. So we could see something like that. So that's basically what I wanted to say. If the bullish case of Bitcoin, everything I'm saying is bullish for Bitcoin. It's only the time perspective of, how long it gets delayed for the inevitable move. Because do you really think Bitcoin's going to be under 100K forever? No, it's eventually going to break it, right? Now we want it to break sooner rather than later, but I think it's coming pretty quickly. Now, if we get that ABC we talked about with Bitcoin here, just real quick, where we come up A, we come up B, and then we come down for C, and then we go. If we get that, then I can see, Theta doing something similar. I can see XRP doing something similar, basically coming back up here, right? Maybe getting back up here and then coming back down without breaking the low, right? Because at that point, if we get up here, right, we would be so far away, we would probably just drizzle down, like creating a spring or a cup, and then we would go much higher. And that would actually look pretty nice, right? That would look pretty nice, depending how high we get. I mean, if we get up here, that would look even better, because then you would have like a shoulder, a big head, right, and then another shoulder in here, and that would look very nice, very nice. So that's kind of where we're at here. If Bitcoin has something like this where we go sideways in here for an ABC, right? We have an ABC sideways in this box in here. Then for total 3 for all the altcoins, I would see something similar, right? With just a bigger foundation. But for XRP, I would look at it like something like that, where we come down, we tag it a little bit deeper, and then we basically take off. So things are looking very good, for at least in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean today, tomorrow. I mean, because again, when you flip it upside down, it looks pretty bad. It looks pretty bearish, right? It looks like it needs more downside, right? But again, going back to that channel and going back to what happened over here, right? That's kind of where I'm sticking with, right? Here's your support. Here's your rising trend line. Here's the break. And then that was the pivot point. So before blast off, right? So if you do the same thing, right? And there's your point. There's your rising trend. There's your horizontal. Is that the pivot point? Or do we need one more hit before that's the pivot point? I mean, it's anybody's guess. And again, it would have to depend on what Bitcoin is going to do over the next several weeks and months. So I'm rooting for Bitcoin. Let's go. I mean, it looks nice on the 2-day chart. I mean, we're starting to we're starting to round out in here. We want to see a little bit bigger. So 2 things can happen with Bitcoin, like I said in the other video. Number 1, if it's going to be bullish, right? Aside from the bearish case, we could come down do something like this, right? Before breaking out. I would actually like that better than coming back up here, right? Because if we went A, B, C, then it's going to look more like an ABC, and then we need that ABC down. So we don't want to go up too quick, too fast. I mean, according to that other fractal, it would look decent, but from a risk perspective, kind of want to see it stay in this box a little bit here. Kind of like what Total 3 did. It came down, it stayed in the box, it's making a base of support, it's looking good, right? Is that what Bitcoin is going to do? Come in down in here and play around in here before breaking out? It would look better, right? It would allow for more accumulation, and it would be more convincing that the bottom is in. Because again, if we come down for A, and then we have 1, 2, and we shoot up for B, it's going to look pretty quick. It's going to look like a three-wave move back in the retracement levels, right? And then it's going to look like it needs to come down for C before then going higher. But depends what happens in here. If we start to flag out and we get some bullish looks and some patterns in here, then it's going to look like what happened again back over here, where, you know, we came down, right, and then we came up in 3, but then we kind of flagged out in here. So if it looks like this, then yeah, it's going to look good. If it starts to wane down, it might look like a C leg coming. So just a friendly update, FYI, maybe not. But again, I'm not changing my tune. I've always stuck with my guns, but I'm explaining the circumstance. If in fact we have to come down lower, then you'll understand the reasoning and why and how that will look. And, you know, approximately it would take a few months. So basically, if we lose this, just add another 2 months to the clock. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Or I would much rather say summer, just go out, have fun, don't even look at crypto. Because back when we get in October, November, December, I think that will be the bullish time. Unless, of course, we go now. You know, that's always the case too. And that's what I like. Because looking at this here, you also have a flag. We're also flagging out in here, right? So we have a massive impulse, and we have this chop down. So, I mean, everything's saying up, right? So how does it get there? That's yet to be seen. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Not so much of an update, but more of an argument. You know, I like to kind of argue against myself, right? There's different things. That way you can kind of come up, you know, I'm not saying it's this way or not saying it's that way, but more so understanding the reasonings behind it, so that when you look at your own things and your own charts, whatever, you can kind of have those same, you know, process of how you get to where you're getting, if that makes any sense. But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you think we're going to range in here for a while? Do you think this is a flag with a continuation? Do you think it's an ABC, backtest 50K is needed, then continuation? But remember, each thing leads to upside, leads to upside, leads to upside. The difference is, what route does it take between now and the inevitable upside we will see? That's going to be a big thing. So I'll, you know, if President Trump gets into office, which I think he will, I think it's going to be very, very, very bullish for crypto because of the things he's been saying lately. I just put a 2-minute video on my channel about what he just said. He's pro-crypto. anti-CBDC. He wants regulations. He doesn't like companies leaving, right? Ripple said, hey, we might leave the United States if we get too much ridiculous pushback, right? So he doesn't want companies leaving the United States to go to other countries, right? He wants the crypto innovation to stay here because he understands, like, look, crypto's not going away. It's going to be with the United States or without the United States. Other countries are going to take off with it because they know the value. So even if Trump didn't like crypto, you gotta basically hone it in, because if you don't, we're gonna be left behind by other countries, and and remember, it's all about America first, right? So that's the deal. So again, a lot can happen in this time of year, right? We're in election year, so we have deep state, false flag, right? Something like that. Don't really like saying that word, but I could get demonetized, maybe. I don't know, but that's kind of the thing. We're in this sort of battle between central banks, we the people, the puppets of the politicians, right? So, if they try to steal the election again, then I'm pretty sure they will, but I don't think they're going to succeed. So to me, we want pro-crypto candidates. And the only pro-crypto president I see is Trump. It doesn't matter if you don't like him or not. Think about, right? Some people can't stand Trump, and I get it. I understand. Totally get it. But they like their portfolios more than their hatred for Trump. So they have to bite the bullet and just vote for the guy, because it's all about your portfolio, not about... right? It's about your family, right? I mean, don't you want to leave your family something? And to me, the only way to tap into that wealth is through crypto, right? I mean, what other asset class is going to give us the abundance? You could say AI, but AI is in crypto. You can say different technologies, but crypto is technology, right? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Look at it from the big long-term perspective, right? Look at it from the long-term perspective. The fact that we had a nice rounded bottom, right? Cupping into the resistance, cupping into the resistance, cupping into, right? If we do that again, or even if we flag out and go, I mean, I think we're battling in here. So, I mean, I think Joe Biden, right, and Elizabeth Warren, anti-crypto, they're going to try to destroy it, right? They're going to try to do everything they can, right? With Gary Gensler, they're going after Coinbase, they're going after Binance, they're going after Ripple. It's a threat to the banking system. So once we win, I think we're going to look really, really good for 2025. Maybe the bull run becomes before that, and then we have the bear market in 2025. I don't know how it's going to look. All I know is I'm hodling crypto. Nobody can pry it away from my hands. So I'm in it for the long haul, right? And I'm believing most people are as well. So let's go. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.